And with us now is RIggs Eckelberry. Of course, he's the CEO of OriginClear, OCLN is the stock symbol. RIggs, lots going on this week. You sent me an article about a big sewage mess in Miami-Dade.
Well, you know, there's terrible things happening in Florida because, in fact, I have a headline here. Florida's water woes. What do we do next?
Tailor-made for OriginClear.
Well, it's interesting because the classic solution that the municipalities have, of course, is to, well, first of all, let's set the stage. There's 30,000 septic systems in Dade County alone. And Brevard County is just as bad in its own way. But in Dade County, they've had problems with every time there's a flood, lovely stuff rises on these multi-million-dollar homes. How fun. And so they got to do something. Well, 30,000 septics being connected to sewage is going to be $3 to $5 billion, right? Well, that's 30,000. That's a ridiculous price. You know, that's at least $100,000 a connection.
At least.
Well, we can do it for 10, 20,000, right? So this is tailor-made. So in fact, there's a program here. Department of Environmental Protection would establish a matching grant program for septic tank conversion. Local governments would have to put up matching money for the program, which could lead to property owners hooking up to sewer systems instead of using septic tanks. Well, the other way is, why not spend 1/10 of the money and just have a little box that processes, and by the way, you get the benefit of processing your incoming water, recycling water for your lawn, and properly disposing of it at a fraction of the price of connecting to sewage.
It's a win-win-win-win.
Exactly. Now, we know how government works. We're not taking it down that road. We don't, you know, we had this experience a couple years ago. Cleveland, Ohio had a huge green algae bloom. Like, we can help, and they're like, no, we'll just wait for it to go away.
Oh my gosh.
That was, now in Florida, it's not going to go away.
No.
But nonetheless, the decision process is going to take years. We'll start what we're starting now, which housing developments, industrial size projects, not worry yet about the home level because that's going to be this whole thing. But meanwhile, 200 or 300 homes at a time, hotels, commercial developments, etc. We're in there now.
Show by example.
Exactly.
So how soon can this process begin?
Oh, well, the good news is Modular Water already bids these projects currently in Florida. We're in there. We have a pipeline. We have business. So it's happening already. By being able to point to these occurring, we can then move in parallel with these much lengthier, you know, working with the state things. Takes time. But meanwhile, the revenue, and speaking of which, I've got some wonderful revenue news that I think is looking really good. That January was a great month for us. I don't want to speak out of turn because I need to validate those numbers, but it's looking really, really good. And you saw this week's announcement about sales rep networks.
Right, I did see that.
Yeah, manufacturers reps are really key for water companies, and we're growing very, very fast.
Well, in any organization, the sales reps and manufacturers reps are really the lifeblood of the company. Not a lot of people know that. You have your manufacturing, you have your research and development. Somebody's got to take all this data, all these manufacturing icons, and go out and sell them. And
they're waiting for it. There's, as I say, 50 manufacturers reps for water in the country, and they're looking for lines of business. And Modular Water Systems is very sexy. So.
So now, going back to the Miami-Dade problem, you have these scalable modular water systems that you can do for a hotel, you can do it for housing development. Can you do it for individual homes?
Absolutely, and we already have the prototypes for it, but that's a different business, different channel. You use the installer network, it's a different world. Where we're starting is with the really high users in places like Southern California, who are spending $10,000, $20,000 a month on water. They're out there. Help them, because they're like small commercial users, really. You know, and even a $50,000 system, which is the current price point for us, will pay for itself easily on a lease basis, right? And they get to be virtuous. We'll get to the small, but getting down to the small is in itself an engineering challenge. So we want to stay where we are now and project out the small.
For those of you watching us in Miami-Dade, of course, get this tape over to your local government right away. Once again, OriginClear Incorporated, OCLN is their stock symbol. RIggs, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Don.